Hey everyone, Sarah here. Sorry for being just a few seconds late, really, on the stream, but you know, I thank you for your patience. Okay, so today we are going to be we're going to be learning 1 point perspective this week. So today is a drawing, and drawing is usually where I talk about most of the techniques, and then painting is where we continue those techniques, but I don't go into as much detail about the techniques themselves, because painting, it's another layer on top of drawing. So painting really is drawing with a paintbrush, but it's just another layer. So there's a lot more technique that's very specific to painting, whereas with drawing, you can learn the ideas and the concepts behind design principles. Okay, so we're doing a country road scene. I'm going to show you guys. If you look down at the bottom of my screen, I've got my Discord server link there. Also, somewhere on my page, and I have to figure this out because it looks like Twitch may be updating to a new look, and I don't know if my buttons will be working on the new look, so I've got to figure all that out. But if it's the old one, there should be a button at the bottom that directly links to my Discord. The reason I'm bringing this up is because on my Discord server, every day that I'm doing a class, I will upload the reference photo that we'll be using. And so today's reference photo is a country road, so I'm going to bring it up so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so here we go. Let me pull up my Discord. So this is the country road scene, and as you can see, it's going off in the distance, the road itself, and it gets smaller as it goes off, and that is the 1 point perspective. So we've only chosen 1 point here for everything to be focused toward: the fence, the road, the grass, everything, even the trees, really, even though they're across the entire horizon. But the fact that they are considerably smaller in the background than the one in the front is part of that perspective. So I'm going to be talking about all of that today, but I wanted you to see what we're going to be doing. Now notice there's color in this, and normally we just use a number 2 pencil. So I'm going to go over the tools right quick, and I'll give you some options for what to use if you don't have this fancy dancy set here, this drawing set, so don't worry about that. Okay, so let's turn Discord off. Okay, first things first, you see I have this lovely orange here. This is not a real orange, as you can see by the seam, because oranges don't have seams, or they shouldn't. Be wary if they do. This is a stress ball. And I wanted to, so this is one of my toys. Every drawing class I bring out another toy that I talk about. This one is twofold. One is to remind you to be getting plenty of vitamin C right now, keep up your immune system, and also stress can really lead to poor immunity. And you're like, this is a drawing stream. Why are you talking about stress? Because I'm also a personal trainer and I do stress management. So this is really important for your body. Use a stress ball. You just squeeze it a bunch of times. Usually if you squeeze it, that's actually better, because then you get that muscle flow. Do some deep breaths while you do it, and that's actually really good for you, and it's good for the muscles in your hands. So bonus. All right, so eat oranges, de-stress. There's your wisdom for the day. Now let's talk about supplies. So I have my number 2 pencil here. You can absolutely use this, and as I go through, I'll talk about what you would do differently if you're using a number 2 pencil. I am going to use my drawing set today, but it is totally fine to use this and some computer paper or something like that. You do not have to have anything fancy. Okay. I have a 9x12 book, but again, like a sketch pad, but you can use 8.5x11 printer paper. I think I said computer paper earlier, but you knew what I meant. Okay, then that's old school. That's what we used to call it. Computer paper is the only time you use printers. Okay, so we've got a couple erasers, and this has the kneaded eraser in it, but I like to use these harder rubber erasers just because they can take more away. Pencil sharpener, which I hardly ever use, but it's good to have on hand. Okay, this is the Gioconda, and my light, you can see like my nice glare I've got there. Sorry about that. Okay. Hold on, let's see if I can. There we go. The Gioconda art set by Koh-i-Noor. I love this set because they have the sepia in it, and they have two options. So you have your pencils and you have your sticks. It's the exact same thing, but there's just a different form. And in fact, we might be using the stick today, like to do some of our background. So I'll show you how to use that. It's got a kneaded eraser, which remember you can mold and do what you want with it. Magical. And this awesome spreader. And these you can buy separately at the store. And I know for a fact that Walmart has these type of tools. They don't have this set specifically. I think you have to go to somewhere like Michael's, or you might be able to get it on Amazon actually, or Koh-i-Noor's site specifically, I suppose. But these you can buy separately, and Walmart does have pencil sets. And they're probably not nearly as expensive. This one here was like, I don't know, maybe like 35 American dollars. So I don't, I think at Walmart you can get, for like $10 you can get a pencil set. So there you go. By the way, this is not in any way an endorsement of Walmart or Walmart-like stores. I'm just saying that it is an option. So I've got several different types of pencils in here. I've got graphite, lead. We'll be using both the graphite and lead today. I've got charcoal. I don't think I'm using charcoal, but I will be using my sepia, which is more like chalk. If you're using a number 2 pencil and you want to get the color in there, you don't have to. Obviously, you don't have to have the color. But if you do, you can use like a red or a brown. Maybe a brown might be better, but you could use a mix of those two colors in like colored pencils. Like just regular colored pencils would be fine. So, notice that my paper is in landscape orientation. So this would be portrait, and that's the way we worked on Friday. But we're going to do landscape today because we are doing a landscape. And when you decide which way you want your paper to be oriented is going to be based on where all the detail is. So our detail is going horizontally, so we want more space going that way. Like for portraits, you would want it to be in portrait. I know they didn't get real creative with the naming, but that's probably a good thing, right? Communication, clear communication. So portrait is good for, oh, we just went fuzzy there. It'll readjust itself, hopefully. Come on. There we go. With a portrait, you're looking at something up and down. So it's just a matter of where you want the information to be. Now, if you look at the reference drawing, they've got the horizon in the middle. However, which I don't normally recommend. In fact, that's probably my number one recommendation when starting a drawing is never put the horizon directly in the middle. Okay, let me turn some light on. It's like, my camera may be possessed. It's entirely possible. Evil spirits are... Come on now. All right, well, what is going on right now? Okay. Evil spirits have taken over my equipment here. All right. So if you're using a number 2 pencil, go ahead, get that. I'm going to start with my 2B pencil, which is a graphite. And we are going to, for the one and probably only time ever, draw a line directly in the middle of the page. I don't recommend this, and the reason why is it's boring. I mean, it's just, so there is something called composition in art, and you want your image to be interesting to the eye of the viewer. The thing is that there's a little bit of trickery here, right? So your average viewer, and in fact, I had a discussion about this last night about some different artwork. The average viewer doesn't see the same things that an artist viewer would. So like, you may not recognize that the lines, you know, are the way the lines are drawn is creating movement. You just feel the movement as an average viewer. Okay, but we're artists here. So I'm going to teach you about how to do these things. One of the things is that when you put something directly in the middle, and this applies to taking pictures as well, like if you're taking, this is called the rule of thirds. When you're taking a photograph, don't center, like say you're taking a picture of a person, don't center the person directly in the middle, you know, lengthwise and widthwise of the camera. It's boring. I mean, it really, okay, I'm just going to ignore the camera for a while and hope that it figures itself out. Maybe it's going through changes. You know, it's going through a hard time in its life right now, so we'll just let that happen. But when you put something directly in the middle, it triggers the viewer to think bland because it's centered. It's the same thing with things that are symmetrical. There's nothing wrong with doing symmetrical drawings or illustrations or paintings, but be aware of the fact that unless you're being very intentional about it, like there is a plan behind this symmetry. There is a reason why I'm making this symmetrical. If there's not a reason, it's just, you just think it looks nice, don't do it because it doesn't look nice. Just trust me on this one. You want things to go off the page. You want, so the rule of thirds, the way this works, okay, I'm just going to use this. This is not my toy for this week. This is actually my toy for next week, but I'm going to use this to show you. Okay, so this is my Rubik's Cube. And next week I will be doing a Rubik's Cube demo, so stay tuned for that. All right. Notice that this is blocked into thirds. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is how you want to think about your drawing. So instead of putting, just like they've put Rubik's right here in the middle, that's not where you want to put your person or building or whatever it is that you're taking a picture of. You don't put it in the center. You want to put it right here on this corner, here, here, or here. That's called the rule of thirds. So you put it in the corner. Now, how do you know which corner to pick? Well, just look at what's going on in the background. For example, I had a friend take a picture of me at the Alamo in San Antonio. So the Alamo was behind me. So he put me right here so that you could see the entire Alamo behind me, because that was what was interesting in the shot. If there's like mountains behind you or something, that's where you go. But like, let's say I'm holding my little baby nephew. Well, then put me right here and my nephew can be right there. Do you see how that works? So rule of thirds, go for the corners that are created by the cross sections. Don't put things in the middle. There you go. Rubik's Cube art demonstration. All right, so let's get our line drawn. And this doesn't have to be particularly dark. The reason we're going for the middle today is because we do have a lot going on in both the foreground and the background. So normally I say either bring your line slightly down if you've got a lot going on in the background. There's like lots of mountains and you know, maybe a sunset and all kinds of stuff. That's when you want to bring your horizon line down if there's not too much going on. But like, let's say we had a lake in the front and there's some, you know, maybe a little boat on the lake or something like that. Then we might put our horizon up here because whatever trees and sky in the background is not nearly as important as what's going on in the foreground. So you just have to think about what it is that you're drawing or painting, and that's how you know where to put your horizon. Today, we've got interesting stuff in both. So let's go. So we've got our horizon. Now we're going to pick a spot. I am not going to pick the middle. Why? Because we already talked about the middle being boring. So we're going to pick off to the side. So there's my little spot. That is my point for my perspective. All right. When things are farther away, our eyes pull everything together. So everything looks much smaller and tighter together as it gets closer to the horizon and away from us. Also, things have a tendency to get dimmer. So everything in the foreground is going to be much more detailed, and everything in the background is going to be grayer, a little bluer, and also just kind of fuzzy in general. All right, I've got a comment here. The white paper is throwing the camera off. It's bouncing the light. Oh, well, I wonder if maybe once I start getting some drawing stuff on there, I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. Does anybody have any ideas of how to fix that? Because I don't. It hasn't really done this before. I mean, a couple of times, but it wasn't anything that didn't fix itself right away. I mean, like if I put something in the picture that's not white, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe our orange has a third purpose. You're so versatile, orange. Okay, let's try. So once I'm drawing too, maybe just having my hand constantly in the picture will help. But thank you for the feedback, Barilla. I appreciate that. And welcome to the stream. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line. It's going to be a diagonal line that comes towards me. And it doesn't, you can draw it however you want it, like whatever angle you want this to be at. I would just make sure that it's coming down to the left, if that's where you put your point. Let's say that's where you put your point. Okay. So the other one is not going to be quite the same angle, but it is still going to be angled out. That's not actually as wide as I want it to be. Let me think about this. Oh yeah, this'll work. This'll work. All right. I probably didn't start this over as far as I wanted it, but this is fine. Okay, now we're going to do some little mountains in the background. So we're going to have 2 layers of mountains, starting probably about 3/4 of an inch up, maybe an inch. Just start doing some rolling hills. Now in the reference photo, they have the hill coming down right at the end of the road. I didn't do this lesson plan, somebody else did. I also didn't do the reference photo, so I would not do that. I put mine a little bit to the right, again, because it's not very interesting. If you've got everything pointing, now, again, if you're being intentional about it, like let's say you've got something going on. I mean, let's say you were doing something more conceptual, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you had like some kind of glow at the end there, or something like that. Then you do want things to focus on that. So then you would bring your mountains down right to where it draws the viewer's eye to that point. Again, everything is about intention in art. It's in your mind what it is you're trying to get the drawing or painting to communicate to the viewer. If you're trying to get it to communicate a lovely landscape that you want them to look at it kind of big picture, you know, the overall scene. Hi, Nopester. Welcome to the stream. If you... I lost my train of thought. Sorry, Nopester. I got a little derailed there. Okay, I was talking about intention in art. Oh, if you want someone to look at the overall scene, then you don't want to draw attention to any one thing, right? You know, you have different details in the painting, but the viewer will be drawn to each of those details. If you want them to be drawn to one specific thing, then you have everything else in the painting is being focused on that in some way, including where your lines go. This one, we just want it to be general. We are focusing on the single point perspective, but I don't want that to be the only focus, because we're going to be doing a really cool tree here in the foreground and some clouds and mountains and, you know. Okay, so let's do our second set of mountains. Now, don't just follow the line. if you had just a parallel line, and I think on my stream right now, most of you are adults, maybe with the exception of Nopester, but I think that this is more something that kids do, which is to, like, all of their trees are the same height and the same distance apart all the way across, or put a black poster board on my desk. It can absorb the light beams. Oh yeah? Well, I don't have a black poster board on me. What do I have? I don't know. You're throwing me curveballs here, Barilla. I've got this painting that I did. I could set that behind it, maybe. I don't know. Okay, for future reference, thank you. Well, I like to solve things now. If I try to do something in the future, then it may or may not get done. I have to be pretty dedicated to something for it to get done if it's not happening right this moment. Okay. So, our mountains, we don't want to just have a parallel line here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up. Sometimes it'll like dip down behind. Like that. I don't know. Just, you know, kind of go along with it. All right. So this is where we could start using our 2B graphite stick. So I'm going to pick that up. But you can just use your, so this is the 2B graphite stick. And so we can go in here and kind of shade like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use my pencil. And same if you have a number 2 pencil. But that is a possibility. We'll probably use the graphite stick more for the trees. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in here and just giving it some lines because we're going to pull our shader in here. Our, the blender. Schwa, hey. You can. We like John Denver here. I can't play him because I'm sure it's copyrighted and that part of my stream will get muted, as has happened to me before. But I'm pretty sure I can say I like John Denver. And that's a good song too. Okay, so I'm just getting my lines in here. And hello, welcome to the stream. Now I'm going to take my spreader and I'm just going to come in and fill in all those little white areas there. And have music on your stream. Yeah, I know. Well, okay, so Horthrax has had music on his stream before and it seemed to be okay. And I don't know if it's because he was talking or what. I keep meaning to ask him what he did that was different. I think when my stream got muted, it was because I had music playing at the beginning. Now, if any of you came on before I started my stream, you'll notice I've got... yes, video game music apparently is safe because I have been able to play both Skyrim music and Witness music, and it doesn't seem to pick it up. So, you know, I have quite a library of video game music too because it's kind of my life theme. I wake up every morning to the Me channel, like that, the tune, you know, the do 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 do. I don't know why. There's something about it, but it wakes me up. That's for sure. Okay. What Witness music? Oh, you weren't on here maybe when I played it. It was I have I have a BRB screen, and when that comes on, there is it's not Witness music, it's ambient music from the Marvel Chapel. So I don't want to give too much away. I mean, not that that would, I guess. I mean, I don't think anybody's playing the Witness to hear the ambient music or ambient sounds of one particular part of the game, but you know, it's a particularly beautiful part of the game, so I don't want to give too much away. Okay. I feel like I've really blended this in, so I'm going to stop doing that. Now we do have, let's see. I'm going to do just a very slight blending of the background because, again, remember I told you everything gets fainter, grayer, dimmer. Oh, there's some eraser shaving somehow on my screen. So we're going to do this a lot lightly. So all I'm doing here is I'm barely touching the paper with my pencil. Yeah, that ambient music or whatever you want to call it from The Witness, I actually meditate to. So I have to be careful sometimes because I've kind of trained my brain to get relaxed when I hear it. So, which I guess can be a cool thing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Just something. Well, and that's one of those that I can feel too. So I think that's probably part of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Music drives me, and so I definitely would love to have some music on the stream. But, you know, I think there's a way maybe with Amazon Music where you can, because Amazon owns Twitch, so I feel like there's a way that there with Amazon Music you can. So I'm gonna have to look into that. Okay. All right. This is kind of choppy up at the top. We'll go back and do some more something with it. I don't know. I don't want to focus too much on the mountains because that's really not our focus here. All right. Now we're going to do some trees. Let's see. Let's get our... What do I want to do? I'm going to do 4B. 4B. If you're using a number 2 pencil, just go a little bit darker. That's it. And instead of pressing down harder, what I would do is do your first do it in layers. Do a first layer, like kind of a coat, you know, your coat of paint. Do the first coat first, and then go in and do a second layer like that exact same pressure, and that will make it darker. Okay. This is going to seem a bit cheesy at first, but I promise it'll work. So we're going to start just doing little tiny circles of all different sizes. And you want them to, like, again, remember I was talking about kids and how they like try to make everything the same size. You know, try not to make these too uniform. And it can come all the way down to the horizon line. But, you know, try to get, so we're just all tiny little circles. We're going all the way across. And sometimes I'm overlapping myself, so you're going to get places where it's like darker, like here, here. Now I have the Me Channel music stuck in my head. I mean, it's not terrible to have it stuck in your head. You know, it's not like the worst song. Obviously, I wake up to it, so. But, man. Earwigs. Am I right? Okay. So I'm trying to add some diversity in here and not make it all looking the same. Okay. let's get our blender tool. And we're just going to blend the tops of the trees, really. So same circular motions, but just the tops of the trees. The bottoms are not as important, and you'll see why here in a minute. Just want to give it a little bit of definition at the top. You know, thinking about the Me channel, sometimes creating my avatar is like the most interesting part of a game for me. It's like I'm making a representation of myself, you know. That's potent. So I'm the kind of person, I usually make it look pretty much like me. It's like my Minecraft character looks like me, really. Just redder hair, I suppose. I want the red hair. But, okay. So I'm going to just go across the bottom, but I'm not really blending, just pulling it together. Okay. But yeah. Let's see. Now I'm looking at this. I am going to actually go back and do something in the mountains. All right, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take our 4B again, and just at the top kind of come in, and I'm not going to go too far down, but I just want to put a little bit of darkness there. Hello darkness, my old friend. All right, let's see how this works. I find that a lot of things in my life is just experimentation. You know, you just have to try it out, see what happens. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, the thing about me experimenting in art is that, you know, I have a background in it, so my experimentation is kind of an educated guess, you know. But don't let that stop you from experimenting. You know, it's really important to try things. If you see a technique that you think is interesting, or you come up with something that you're like, hey, that might be cool to try, just try it. I mean, you know, the worst that can happen is it messes up your picture and, you know, you start again or whatever. But you learn something from it, right? So it wasn't a waste. It's never a waste. Just try things. All right. Man, you guys are getting all kinds of my valuable life advice today. I should be charging for this. Okay. Yeah, I like this better. I like the way that looks better. All right. I want to do the same with the top mountain, but I'm going to use the 2B pencil because remember, the top is not nearly as dark as the bottom because the bottom is closer to us. So I'm just coming in with my 2B. Okay. And we'll do the same thing. Blend, blend, blend. All right, next we're going to be doing some clouds. And I don't know if I want to draw these. I think I might just use my dirty spreader. Because, I mean, look at this. That has plenty of stuff at the top there for me to use. I don't think I necessarily need to put anything down. Okay. Yeah, that's probably not as light as I'd like it to be, but let's get the clouds done and then we'll come back and do this. So let's see. For the clouds, let's start with kind of a straight line And then from there, we're going to actually do our little, like, kind of like we did with the trees. We're going to do our little squiggly, like little circular motions. And I'm getting bigger. Notice that I'm going up in an angle. So it's gradually getting bigger. And I might, you know, whip up here and do some... You know, that's one thing I think I want to relearn. I think I want to know my cloud formations. You know, I remember we learned this stuff like in, I don't know, elementary school, whatever. I don't really remember. I remember, like, you know, cumulus and that might be it. Cirrus, is that one? I don't know. but so clearly I have a lot to learn, but there's a lot more than just like the 3 or whatever that we learned, right? There's a lot more different kinds of cloud formations, and like I see all these beautiful pictures. In fact, I think one of the Instagrams I follow is just pictures of clouds. That's it. Just, you know, people send in pictures of different kinds of clouds. Now, my favorite are like the dangerous kind of clouds. Like I've actually seen tornado clouds form, which is pretty interesting. But I don't know. Clouds in general are just pretty cool. Just the concept of them, you know, it's just water, right? It's just water. It's phenomenal. Okay, so I'm going to do, so this is my first, this isn't the whole cloud. What we're going to do is we're going to use, this is the shadow of the cloud. We're going to use negative space to create an edge. So let's start first with this, another cloud behind it. So I'm just going to start my little triangle. And this, on this side, we can go right up to the cloud. Okay. And let's do this. Over here, we're going to start kind of up above it a little bit. Negative space sounds so sci-fi. It kind of is sci-fi if you think about, you're looking through an object, you're looking behind it, right? You know, you're not looking at the object itself. Figure Ground is really amazing. And in fact, I don't know if he's on now, but the game dev who does Escher, which I highly suggest that you, it's not null not void, I highly suggest that you watch his stream if you ever get a chance. The game is brilliant. I can't say enough about it, but he deals a lot with that figure ground reversal is what that's called, where it is cool. And I even got to have a little bit of input on it, so, you know, I mean, it was a very little bit, but whatever, I'll take it. But anyway, he deals a lot with that, and like, it's a little bit mind-blowing because at some point you have to decide what's the figure and what's the ground, you know. And you see with Escher, so notice that I'm going out here, and I'm so this is my negative space here, but what does it look like? Oh, the white part of the cloud. All right, so I'm just coming down and coloring this in. But anyway, yeah, Escher was really brilliant about figure ground reversal. Okay. You know, those, you see, like, one of his most famous ones are where like birds are flying this way, and then you've got the negative space behind them, the birds are white and then the negative space is black, but then all of a sudden you see black birds flying this way when the white is the negative space. That's that figure ground reversal. That's what that is, where you can't really tell which is the ground and which is the figure. Another example of that, if you ever see like kind of little eye tests or whatever, where you see a vase, but if you look, it looks like two faces looking at each other. That's figure ground reversal. Okay, so now I've got some shapes here. I'm just kind of coming in, and this one I'm going to actually do a little bit of a line, but it's just going to be a fuzzy line. So it's not like just a solid line. It's like kind of, I'm just going back and forth and creating an edge. Okay. I feel like those clouds are pretty good. But see here, see how I've got this white space in here? Negative space. Negative space, y'all. Negative is not always a bad word. It's actually a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. You know, everybody, there's like, oh, negative. Don't be negative. Negative can be a good thing, you know. And two negatives can make a positive. Just multiply them. Okay, so I'm going to do another little cloud down here. And I'm sorry, that was a really terrible math joke. I should refrain from making math jokes. I'm not actually that good at it. So, please forgive me. Which is worse, tardiness or terrible math jokes? I don't know. It's tough to tell. But then I guess the question could be, are there any terrible math jokes? They're all brilliant, really. Okay. My favorite is physics jokes. And I don't know how many of you know Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I follow him on Twitter because he makes the best jokes. And they're hilarious. Some of them. I mean, some of them are pretty cheesy, but again, there are no bad physics jokes. They're all great in their own way. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just come up and do this fuzzy line that's going to kind of create the white area of the cloud. Okay. Yeah, he is. He is. But I don't know. He's a cool dude. He's on my list, man, of like, if I get to a point in my life, and by if I mean when, where I'm meeting people of such stature, I guess, as like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's on my list of people I want to meet. Like 100%. I'm a little bit of a fan. Okay. So, I'm pretty much done with the clouds. Also because he's a teacher, right? And he's a teacher of very complicated subject matter, but he does it in a way that makes it accessible. And that's something that there's a lack of good teachers out there. And so when I see one, especially one that is using education to try to help people understand the world around them, like, that's pretty cool in my book. Okay. Let's add to the trees. So I'm going to be using what's called a silky black pencil. His Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. Yes, I have that. I haven't read it. Oh, well, that is cool. Well, see, there you go. See? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a member of the stream right now who was in some way inspired by Neil deGrasse Tyson to learn about the world around them. So, you know, it's speaking to me. Okay, I want to use a number 3. So with the silky black, these are, I'm calling them silky black. They are lead. Lead is what the, so let me just show you guys the difference. So you can see the graphite is shinier. You know, like if I turn in the light now, of course, this is the one time when I'm not getting a glare. Really? Okay, there we go. Better. Okay, so this is, space-time's pretty awesome. Okay. I actually learned some really cool stuff. I took astronomy in college and had a really amazing teacher who knew, so I'm particularly interested in archaeoastronomy. So studying, like, for example, Stonehenge, and how ancient cultures used, I mean, it doesn't even have to be ancient, but just how cultures throughout time have used um, different methods to understand the stars and the planets. And that's what I'm really interested in, is kind of that cultural history. So, which is called archaeoastronomy. And I like it too because it's like one of the few words in the English language that's got, like, I don't know, 5 vowels together or something. Anyway, he knew I was interested in that. So we were using a piece of software called Stargazer. I think it's free. So I think anybody can go out and get it. But anyway, you can actually input dates and times and locations and see what the sky looked like that night, depending on what hemisphere you're in and everything. You can see exactly what people at that time saw. So that was a really fun thing. I mean, I used to stay after class. Yeah, I'm that nerd. Stay after class to talk to the teacher about stuff. Anyway, I used to stay after class so that we could, like, explore different cultures and stuff like that. So anyway, all right. So graphite is grayer and shinier. Lead is darker and more black. So that was the main reason for that. And you also happen to get a diatribe of my adventures in astronomy. All right. So I'm going to use the number 3, lead, which is the lightest. So in lead, they go darkest to lightest. So the 1 is the darkest. What we're going to do is I'm going to start creating little lines in the background that's going to make it look like we've got trees. And so some of my lines, I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. So see here how I've got that little, like, Y shape. So some of your lines, I'm going to have, let's see, maybe a little Y shape here. Like that, like little Y shapes. So some do straight up and down lines and some Y shapes. Maybe skip a couple areas and do some more. You can do some closer to each other, some shorter, taller, just, whatever. We're just going to go in here. I try not to get too analytical about it. I mean, you want to have some distance. Like, you don't want them to be all close together in a cluster, or it starts to look fake. But you don't want to, like, spend too much time on these types of things. I'm telling you this from experience, because at one point in time in my very long drawing history, I used to spend a lot of time on these types of exercises, where I'm going in and I'm like, oh, I want all my trees to look perfect. And I measure, I'm doing it visually, but I'm measuring the distances between them, and I'm trying to get, like, different ratios. And, I want, like, well, I'm good at doing it so that it looks random, but I was spending a lot of time doing that. And of course, time is really probably the most precious thing you've got in this life. So, don't waste it on drawing trees. I'm sorry, trees. I'm talking to my trees outside. It's nothing against trees, but not these little piddly, whatever, background, can't even tell what they are trees. It's just not worth it. Okay, so I've got some lines going across there, and we'll do a couple over here. Now I come down a little farther here, so the trees will be shorter. So this is more just like a judgment call, of like, well, I haven't done a little Y shape in a while, so I'm going to do a Y shape, here. I haven't done a tall one, I mean, it gets easier the more you go, but there we go. Let's do, what do I want to do? I'm going to take my, actually, you know what? Let me grab the number 3 again. Grab the number 3. And if you're using a number 2 pencil with this, just press down a little bit harder. That's it. That's the only difference. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of come in at the tops of my trees and just do some little squiggly. So we're basically going to do kind of what we did with the mountains, except for I'm doing this kind of like little tiny circle doodle. I'm going to go all along and then I'm going to blend it. Now, if you do not have a blender, I should have mentioned this earlier and I apologize. If you don't have a blender, you can use your finger. And I recommend you use your middle finger that has like you can control the pressure the best there. But you can use your finger. You can take a piece of paper, crumple it up and like use that. The paper part of it. Let me see if I have a demonstration. I don't. Of course, I don't have any random paper laying around. You guys, you know what I haven't done in a while, and I probably am not going to do it today, but we've got about 5 minutes before the hour mark. But I haven't done any yoga moves in stream. So for those of you who are new to my stream for a while, and I try to do this in my actual live, like face-to-face classes, because I guess technically these are live, I do some stretches in the middle. And actually in my live classes, I do them at the beginning too. Because stretching is really good for you. It moves the blood around and just, especially, by the way, if anybody's interested, anytime you raise your arms over your heart, you raise your heart rate. So, like, in yoga, it seems really slow and stuff like that. But if you do, oops, I'm hitting things. If you do like a sun salutation, you raise your arm up and then bring it down. That is, anytime you raise it above, you're raising your heart rate. So that's a good thing. You want that because that is exercising your heart. Okay. I mean, unless you have heart problems, in which case, please talk to your doctor first. Do not follow my medical advice or exercise advice. CYA. All right. So now I'm coming in and just going to go right over those little marks and just blend them. But anyway, I haven't done that in a while. I like cat and cow a lot. Maybe we'll do a little cat and cow today. I encourage you to do it with me because the thing is first of all, if you're sitting at a desk, I mean, unless you can't for some reason, like you're at work or something like that, but if you have the ability, I encourage you to do it with me because it's really good for you. Like, I didn't really understand yoga until this past fall. I mean, as a personal trainer, I recommended it to my clients, but I just couldn't get into it. It was something I never just really understood. But I started learning restorative yoga. And restorative yoga is a lot slower. The movements are a lot more deliberate. And you hold your poses a little bit longer. So for me, it was a lot more meditative. Also, the poses aren't nearly as strenuous, I guess, because I always felt when I was doing yoga, I'm not flexible. I mean, I'm a little flexible, but not like some people you see yoga. So does restorative yoga. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So a coworker does restorative yoga. It's pretty amazing. There's all different kinds of yoga. And in fact, so I used to box I did Muay Thai, kickboxing, but I really liked the boxing part, so I did a lot of training there. And this one yogi that I'm friends with told me that boxing can be a form of yoga because it's really just when you get into that meditative place where you're moving and you're breathing consistently and you're just focused. Like it's a mindful place. And that's yoga. So like yoga isn't necessarily about what movements you're doing, but that you are moving and that you're doing it in combination with focus and breathing. So that's pretty much what makes yoga. That's the formula there, y'all. That's the formula. Okay, we're gonna do a road. Now let's see. This wants me to use my charcoal stick. So we are using charcoal, but here's the thing. My charcoal stick is a whole piece because this is a relatively new set. So we're going to break it. By the way, if you ever get little charcoal droppings, or I don't know what you call that, dust, charcoal droppings, that sounds terrible. Okay, if you get charcoal dust or something on your, or chalk dust or anything on your drawing, absolutely 100% blow and do not wipe. Like I talk about when you erase, blow, don't wipe, but if you accidentally wipe or something, that's not that big of a deal. But it's imperative because you'll have like shooting stars in your sky, which you may or may not want. So, all right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take this at an angle. Let's see, I might start down here. So come up. Here, you know what? I'm going to show you what happens. Watch. Say I wipe. Look at that. See what that did? And that does not erase. It does not erase. So, I don't mind demonstrating that for you because, you need to see what happens. Otherwise, you can experiment on your own. So what I'm doing is it's starting small and getting bigger. Okay. We're going to draw this other side of the road and then we're going to pause for a little bit of cat and cow. We're going to get our blood flowing again. Stretch our backs, especially me. I'm sitting hunched over like this. It's not good for you. So when you use the side of and you can break this down into however many pieces you want, but when you use the side, you get that really sketchy kind of look. Now notice that these are considerably bigger here than they are down at the bottom. Let's see, I'm going to make this even bigger here. Okay. All right, Sarah. I'm not getting my angles correctly, but that's okay. There we go. That's close enough. This is the other thing that charcoal does. Look at my hands. So, luckily, because this is also where I do my painting, I have paper towels handy. But this stuff will get all over you. You don't really want it on your clothes because, yeah, it'll wash out, but you might always have a little smudge there. Just be aware that charcoal is not a friendly, maybe it's too friendly, right? So it is friendly, it's too friendly, it gets all over you. I used to come out of my art classes, and we all did, so it wasn't just me, but it's proof that we touch our face so many times without even realizing it, because we'd all have like black smudges all over our face and neck and arms and stuff, because you sit there and you touch like that, or rub your eye, whatever. Yeah, we touch our face a lot. Okay, So I'm going to move back so you can see me. You can see my mirror here. All right. So with cat and cow, there's the idea is we're going to do seated cat and cow. So I'm not going to get down on all fours, which is traditional cat cow. We're going to do a seated cat cow because this is not a yoga studio and I don't have my camera set up for it to be a yoga studio. So I'm going to use my knees, but you can also use, like, if you've got arms to a chair. And what I'm going to do, cat is when you arch your back up, or you're pulling in with your core. So you're gonna take your abdominal muscles and you're gonna pull in. Okay. Cow is when you push out. All right. So you take your hands. When you're pulled in, your elbows are going to come in towards, like, they're gonna turn towards the outside. When you go out, they're gonna turn under. Okay. I always breathe for 4. In for 4, out for 4, and always try to breathe through your nose. That is key. So, put your hands on your knees, and we're going to do cat first. So you're going to, oh no, wait, sorry, cow first. Cow first. So we're going to actually arch our back. So going forward, like a string is pulling you forward, okay? So, and out for 4. And you go into cat. We're going to do this 3 more times. In for 4. Out for 4. One more. Okay. If everybody did that with me, that was fantastic. I don't know. Did anybody actually do that with me? Or are you all just looking at me like I'm insane? Like, what is this lady doing right now on stream? Like, what is happening? We'll see. By the way, if you're as a spreader, you can also use a paper towel. Watch this. What? Okay. I better see what it does to the paper towel. Yay! Thank you, Schwa. Meditation is amazing. And now I'm going to drink water, which is another health tip for this wonderful Corona season. Because guess what? Water washes things down into your stomach. And what does your stomach have in it? That's right, hydrochloric acid, which will take care of that little virus. So, drink plenty of fluids. It's important, but water especially is fantastic. Oh man, the meditation train is my favorite train. Choo choo. All right, let's get back to drawing. Let's do this. I'm feeling all refreshed. All right, so we're gonna use the number 3. It wants us to use the stick, the lead stick. Okay, so hang on. Okay, so we're going to use the side of the lead stick. Now, if you are still using a pencil, I'm going to show you what you're going to do. You're going to turn your pencil on the side, and you're going to do little choppy marks, and then you come in with your finger or blender or something. But you're just going to do little tiny squiggles. What we're going to do, if you have this set, which I know some of you do, we're just doing these little choppy lines. And I'm doing them kind of in like these rows maybe. Oh man, that is a really satisfying sound. Huh. There's something about that that's... Okay. It's hollow, I think. I think it's like pushing down on the... Okay. See, you can get so much out of art. We used to do this in my classes. I had my students would I do sound effects, like little whooshes and wisps and, things like that. And there are certain things that you'll find in art that are extremely satisfying, and that is really the best word for them. Like, for example, watching paint dry. If you hold a hair dryer or something like that to your paint, it will go from like a matte, it'll go from like shiny to matte. And that's how you know it's dry. And so when you're drying and you've got all this paint all over and you watch it kind of creep, like like the matte will creep along and like get bigger and bigger. And I don't know, there's just something extremely satisfying about it. Okay, we got to do our middle here. But my kids used to love that. And my parents thought the parents of my kids thought it was great that I got their kids to enjoy watching paint dry. I mean, it's all about the little things in life, y'all. You got to enjoy them. Okay. I'm going to use my blender. And we're going to come in and just do little lines here. Now, if you don't have a blender, let's see. You can use your paper towel, just like kind of get like a point going, like that, like a little point. By the way, if anybody has been on Discord, I'm very proud. One of my students, Teacher Margot, I don't know, Teacher Margot. Ah, hey, you're reminded of Bob Ross. Well, that's fantastic because I love Bob Ross. So that's good. He is an inspiration to me in this particular matter. So I'm just coming in and doing these little, my happy little lines here. But anyway, Teacher Margot, who I don't know if you're on the stream, but she went and redid, I had done a watercolor of lilies, and she went and a second time watched my VOD and redid it and posted it in the Discord, and it is amazing. It's just absolutely beautiful. Now look, did I just get charcoal? Nope, but that's why I keep a mirror right by my desk. I've got mirrors everywhere, y'all. One might say that I have a problem with vanity. One might be correct. Okay, so get my little lines here. But anyway, if you get a chance, go out to the Discord server, give her a thumbs up or a smile or something. Give her a be positive. That's my little B logo. Yay, Teacher Margot, she's here. Oh man, I'm just so proud of you. I really feel like your skills have really improved, and that is just probably, I mean, I personally, and I'm not just saying this, I really think that hers is better quality than mine, than the one that I did. It's really fantastic. Okay. So yeah, go give her a smiley face or something. She deserves it. Okay. Now, I'm not really liking how this is looking. I feel like lesson plan, your instructions aren't very good. Okay, so I'm gonna do some side to side stuff here because I'm not liking this at all. So I'm just coming in and I'm gonna use my spreader side to side. Yeah, that's better. You know what? Sometimes it doesn't always work out, right? That's the experiment, I suppose, right? Okay. Teacher Margot, I hope you don't mind me gushing about your lilies on stream. They are just really fantastic. And you guys, if you go out to my Discord, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. This looks really choppy, but I feel like in the long run, once we get other things, it'll start looking better. So let's do our little do. my little lines on this side. I mean, I want to do the same technique I did on this side so it looks the same. And it's not like I have a problem with the lines. I just don't think by themselves they did what I was wanting it to do. Okay. Oop, my paper's moving around on me. Getting too rough. Sorry about that, paper. Okay. Well, it's well deserved. And did you, Teacher Margot, did you do them with the these kind of paints? Like the pot paints? Ah, that to me is what makes it even more impressive. That you didn't use like professional paints. You know, that's just blows me away. It's just really fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to do some little lines in here. Okay, and I'm going to try my best. This is a really tight area, and I've got the charcoal going on the sides, so I don't want to pull too much of the charcoal in the middle or it's going to end up looking much darker than the outside. Maybe we should start a meditation group in chat or something. I'm supposed to meditate every morning when I wake up. And when I say supposed to, this is a self-imposed rule, but, you know, it doesn't happen a lot. Going back to sleep happens more often than not. I wake up to my me alarm and I say, all right, hi morning, bye morning. Okay. I want to do something about these. We're going to be doing something about this soon. Maybe let's go ahead and blend them. Now that I've blended the field, I can come in here. That's a little better. It's making me feel more comfortable. These really should be much smaller as they get to the outside, but apparently that didn't happen. I don't want them to be quite so large there. Let's see. You can't really erase charcoal, unfortunately, but let me see. I mean, you can, but it's smeary. Let's see. I really want these to be very thin lines towards the outside. So see, it's letting me erase, but it's kind of smearing things around. So you have to like get a new eraser every once in a while. Like just remold it. Now you guys might have actually followed my directions and not did what I did, which was to make it thicker in the back here. So you might not have to do this. So hopefully, I don't normally like to erase, but oh my goodness, that's fantastic. I do like big ruts, and I cannot lie. Those other artists can't deny. Okay, so this one needed to do something different. Hold on. That's from Andrew. Nice. That does sound like an Andrew thing. Tell him that's hilarious. Okay. Oops. See, I have to keep changing out my eraser because it gets overloaded with charcoal. Charcoal's just a pain to erase. See what it's doing? See, it gets the charcoal on there. All right. I think this is going to be good enough. I think that's going to be good enough. It is. Because I said so. All right, I'm going to show you how to fix this right here. Since we have like these giant white marks in the middle of our page. You know, honestly, Skyrim has so much really good music. I probably could just use that as background music. But I mean, it's not as cool and motivational as some of the other songs that I have. I also wondered, look at this. This is what happens. See that? I also wondered too if there's like some jazz or something like that. Like, you know, especially if there's not any singing or anything like that, that it might not pick up like their whatever it is, bots or whatever that are picking up that information. It might not pick it up. Okay, I keep blowing this because there's like a mark there. So to clean this up, mammal hands. All right. I'm assuming this is some kind of jazz. I don't know that. I mean, I like jazz, but I don't necessarily know artist names. I haven't built up my jazz. Okay, well, I'd probably like it then. I haven't built up my my jazz playlist. I have one. I just haven't built it up like I've built some of my others. Which is weird because I love jazz. I've always wanted to play it, you know. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Maybe I've mentioned it before, but I play the piano. And I was actually in a jazz band, you know, like high school, like jazz band, whatever. But I'll be honest, I wasn't actually very good. I mean, I'm good at the piano. I wasn't good at jazz. I don't know. There's something about like the improv that like at that time, I was a very rigid person. When I was in high school, I had not found myself like I have now. So I think jazz just didn't sit well with my classical training. So maybe I'll be better at it now because I'm all like laid back and chill and stuff. Any of you who know me, don't laugh too loud that I said that. All right, so I'm just taking my spreader. And I'm just coming in, but I'm blending it into the outside. Almost daily. Well, then that is quite a... if you listen to their catalog daily, then I feel like that's a pretty big recommendation. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, I left some white. I didn't even talk about this, but I left some white in the background. Like, see how there's like this little white line in the background? I didn't go all the way up because our eyes, a lot of times when you have a field, our eyes will blend all the colors together, but it will also blend the light together. So it becomes more white. So, and that's when you're looking at a plane, like it will just blend it to where it gets much lighter and all of the light blends together. So also, I feel like maybe I've mentioned, you know what, I'll probably save it for painting. I've mentioned on a few of my streams, I've talked about additive color. Painting is not additive color, it's subtractive color, which is a little bit confusing, which is why I'm going to save it for a painting stream because I will explain it then. You will get your fun science lesson in color then. Okay. So here's what we've got so far. All right. Yeah. All right, we're good. So now I'm going to take my charcoal pencil, number 2, if that's what you've got. And we're going to start doing our tree in the foreground. All right, so I'm going to start it maybe like, let's see, like 2 inches up from the bottom of the page and maybe 1 inch over from the road. Okay. All right. I know I'm going to be setting my hands down, right? You know what? Do this. It might smear just a tiny bit, but it's probably worth it in the long run to like set something down for your hand. Like a piece of paper or something like that. If you don't move it around too much, it shouldn't, let's see. Yeah. It shouldn't really mess up your picture. Because we're doing a lot of charcoal stuff today, I am going to show you how to keep this from, I'm going to show you how to do the fixative thing. Again, I've done it on another stream, but I'm going to do it this time too. Okay, so I'm just doing a curved line in, and then it's going to come straight up, and then right about at the tree line, it's going to start going out. Okay, and I'm just going to stop it there for now. Lovely. I love water. Okay. We're going to come on this side, maybe start it probably about 1.5 inches away, but the tree itself is probably only going to be about 3/4 of an inch wide. Now I've learned to kind of eyeball stuff over time. Now I'm going to start this going down a little bit before the tree line. So it's going to come out there. Like that. Now with charcoal, I always just every once in a while blow because you get little bits of charcoal dust. The charcoal droppings. Okay. So we're going to, right here, I'm going to create a little V. Okay? Now on one side of the V, I'm going to come up. It might gradually get thinner, like that. On the other side of the V, I'm just going to do a line that kind of meanders out, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to do a U. So instead of a V, we're going to do a U right here. Okay, and on this side of the U, we're going to come up, kind of bend our way going up. I'm going to stop it right there. We'll continue it here in a little bit. So on this side, I'm going to continue. I'm going to come out. The way they've got this is they've got this kind of weird angle, like right angle going on. Or almost a right angle. I guess it's not quite. And on that side, it's going to connect there. Okay. Hopefully everyone's following me okay with this. I feel like it got really quiet. I mean, for me. Okay. So here, I'm going to continue this U and just let it meander up again. Now one more V. Right there. And then This side is going to gradually get narrower. Connect. And this side is going to do the same thing, but I'm going to let it stay wider for a little bit longer and then get narrow. All right, that's it for the main branches. So what we're going to do, I'm going to erase out, I'm going to use this little rubber eraser just in the center here. Very gently, very gently. I cannot stress this enough because we just drew in charcoal. So if you try to erase over it, it's going to happen what happened earlier, like with my kneaded eraser, is going to happen with your big eraser. Okay. Man, now I'm thinking about jazz. Jazz is so amazing. I used to go here in where the town that I'm in right now, actually, because this is where I went to college many moons ago. Tallahassee. There's this really great jazz place called Waterworks, and I don't even know if it's still here. I mean, it might be. But I used to go there for Latin jazz night, and then I went there for the jam sessions because we've got Florida State here, and so a lot of the music students and even some of the music teachers would go and would jam, and then we'd have people from FAMU, Florida A&M, would come over. Their music students would come over, and they'd all get together and jam, and it was just amazing. I words can't even describe how cool it was. So, if you want to feel really beat, go drink some coffee and listen to some jazz. Okay, I'm using my kneaded eraser because I need to get into this small little area. But it is pretty good chill music. You know what else is good chill music? Kind of a down-tempo electronica. That was actually one of the things that I was playing on the day that I got muted. I was playing Chilled Cow, I think. And I did not think it would be a problem, but apparently it was. So who knows? The jazz, I don't know. I mean, I'll have to test it one time. I'll have to do like a test stream. I'm infamous for my test streams. Okay, so I left it a little bit choppy here at the bottom. You can come in. Since I've got my eraser and I'm doing this really interesting technique there, I'm going to just hit the mountains up in the background. Remember I was saying that I thought that the back mountains looked like just a little bit too dark. So you come in with an eraser. And I'm just like kind of ball it up in a little area. And you just hit it. Just kind of tap it down on the paper. It's going to loosen it up, lighten it up. And I'm doing this now before I get too much of my tree in place. Hopefully that's not too terribly loud. I don't know how that comes across on my mic, but all right. We're going to take the spreader, and it's got a lot of charcoal on it, so I'm going to be really careful to just come in. In fact, you know what? Nope, I'm going to use my finger because I don't want to. I'm going to use my middle finger here. I do not want to get any of that charcoal on that mountain. I mean, I just made it lighter, for God's sake. Why would I want to go darker? Okay, that's good. I am going to come out just the top of the mountains because my eraser caught the top. I'm just going to very lightly catch the top of the mountain. Okay, let's work on this tree some more. Okay. So we've got our charcoal pencil, and we're going to start doing like our little branches. So on this side, I'm going to have a branch that kind of comes out over here. So it's just like a single line. On this side, it's gonna, and there's a little at the end where you just let the pencil glide up. Just kind of let it do its thing. Don't force it. No. Just let it happen. Like that. So you're putting pressure on it and then just lifting your pencil. No more pressure. Okay, let's see. This one, I think, I feel like I'm missing something here. What am I missing? Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you so much for your attention. All right. So here, I'm going to have a little branch that comes out. And it's like my tallest one. Maybe. Almost. Almost the tallest one. It might be even. So see what I'm doing? I'm just coming in here and adding single branches. I'm going to have one that comes out of the top here. Maybe another branch. And what I do is I look for, I don't plan this. I just let it kind of happen. But I'll look for a place where it looks like a branch should go there. I don't know how to make this make sense. But like say there's a, when you were moving your pencil, it kind of jutted out just a little bit. You didn't intend for that to happen, but it happened. Those are the places I use because to me, I feel like the tree is telling me it wants a branch there. Oh, that's a collaboration with the universe. That's what I talk about in my watercolor classes. That's in drawing. There you go. There's a collaboration right there where you just use like use the serendipity that happens in your drawing or your painting, and you know, make that part of your work. Okay, so on this side I've got two branches. I'm going to come here. This is the one that's contending for top spot there. Okay, and now I'm going over my clouds. Okay, so I've got another branch. It comes up here. And see, I'm just kind of maybe coming over a little bit and then just whooshing my pencil. I don't know what, there's probably a technical term for it, but I like whooshing. I feel like the little wind, like if I were really tiny and I was standing right in front of the pencil, that like the little wind that it makes, that's the sound it would make. That's what I like to think. Okay. We only have a couple more. Okay, and then this little guy here that came out is going to have something at the end. My stomach is telling me that I forgot to eat lunch. I didn't really forget. I had like a weird late breakfast, so. Okay. Sorry. Shit's gonna have to wait. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and shade in the tree. Let's see. All right, let's start with the charcoal pencil again. And I might as well just put this back because I'm going to come over here and very lightly do some shading. Now, it's going to spread out as it gets to the bottom because the tree is coming towards us. So that shows us that the tree has some part of it that's coming towards us. Just a thin line. We don't want too much. We're going to come up on all the left sides because our light source is coming from the right. I'm going to talk a little bit more about light source next week. Next week we are doing a cylinder study. We're going to do, I think, coffee cups and bowls. And I will talk more about light source at that time and how to determine where to put your light source. Okay, here we've got, it's going to come down a little bit. And that just makes the branch look like it's farther down, and we'll bring up a little bit shadow there. All right, same here. Got like there's like a little V there because again the branch is coming towards us. Okay, I think I hit everything. So now what I'm going to do is take my spreader and I'm going to very gently spread this in and then bring it to the rest of the tree. So I'm going to start bringing it out. It may end up looking a little choppy, and that's okay. We can go back and fix that. If you want to fix it, you might like it. You might like that choppiness. What I need to do, this is what I was telling my nephew because he writes music and he's very good. Nopester, are you still on here? But I was telling him, like, for his videos, he needs to write his own music, you know. That's what I need to do, is just compose my own music. And then try to do something about that, Twitch. That's right. You heard me. Gauntlet is thrown. Well, I mean, I haven't written the music yet, so I guess the gauntlet can't be thrown. That's what I gotta do. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is when I will start composing for real and not for pretend, because I've tried my hand at composing before. It just wasn't very successful. So what I'm doing here by blending everything and then bringing it out into the tree is I'm creating a gradient effect, and the gradient effect makes it look round. So this is how you create depth, is by using shadow. Mocap, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. So we're doing a country road scene today. And right now we're blending our tree, our branches. Now, some of my branches, I am going to go ahead. I did, I know. Oh, I didn't talk about that at all. I didn't do my little, you know, pat on my back. I'm very excited that I got affiliate. That happened maybe last night. I don't know. Probably. I think it happened last night. But anyway, it's very exciting. Okay. So I'm coming in and I'm actually taking my spreader and just leading it very carefully up the lines, these like little thin lines. And that just blends them a little bit. Makes them a little blurry. And yes, by the way, I did get affiliate, And I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching my stream right now and everyone who's followed me, because that is because of you. Because you guys were watching me, and because of your follows. So thank you very much. Couldn't have done it without you. Sometimes gold digging requires help. Okay. So I'm going to leave. I'm bringing this in down here, but I'm going to leave this one side of the trunk light. I'm not gonna. I'll bring the shading to it, but I'm gonna leave it light, like that, and that just gives us our light. Or highlights rather. Okay, I am, however, though, just gonna hit this edge of the tree. And pull this out a little bit, and then I'm just gonna come a little bit on the outside of it. And what that does is it creates an edge rather than having just this stark line. Okay. Let us do this too. We're also, since we're doing our shadow, let's get our charcoal, and we're going to create, our shadow is going to be coming, let's see, yeah, right here. So it's just going to come off the side of the page. I'm going to do something. I'm going to actually create a little kind of an upside down V there, and that will make it look like there's like a root or something coming out there. And then that way I can get my shadow in there. Just gives me a little place for the shadow to start. Okay. Now shadows actually get bigger and spread out, but this one we're not really far enough away to see that. So we're just gonna, oops, that went in the wrong spot there. Let's blend this. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We can blend the edges a little bit just to make it look more shadowy and less like a line. With charcoal, I'm always blowing the little bits out of the way. Okay. Now we're going to add our leaves at the top of this tree. So how we're going to do this is they want us to use our charcoal stick. I don't know. Let me think about this. Wants us to use the side of the charcoal stick. Well, okay, so I'm using my little piece of charcoal. If you're using your pencil, do what we did for the back of the trees here and just do little tiny circular motions all over. This is kind of like, so I'm doing circular motions, but because I'm doing it with the side of my stick, it's ending up looking like long lines, I suppose. Okay. The big chunky lines. I am going off the page because that's more interesting. It's more interesting to have things leaving the page so you don't know where they go. The viewers aren't usually consciously thinking, oh, I wonder what happened to the rest of that tree. They know that it's just going off the page consciously, but subconsciously their mind is intrigued by that. So it creates visual interest when you do things like that. Kind of the same thing of not putting it directly in the center. There's nothing for the viewer to be interested in there. They're not wondering what's going on in the background. Why is that person over to the side? You know, they're not wondering these things. So I'm doing this like in little, notice I'm doing it in kind of chunks. I will say that this might be a charcoal technique. I think this charcoal technique is probably. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Oops. Now I'm going to come, well, let's see. Let's spread it first. So we're going to do the same circular motions, but now with the spreader. You can actually put your spreader on its side if you want and do it like that. Sometimes that's helpful. Now we want to leave some white areas in here, so we don't want it to be completely filled in. And don't worry, we're going to come in and do this. This is not how we're leaving our tree. So have no fear. But you will have some areas where you'll see branches. Okay. All right, so we've got a lot of that blended. Now we're going to come in and do little kind of curly Q circular motions. And these are going to come on the outside, which indicate that it's brighter. You do some on the inside, and see, it's going to look like the light is hitting it. This charcoal was considerably darker than I intended it to be. I might use my, might use my spreader and just come in here and still in circular motions, but that way it doesn't look so stark. I don't know how happy I'm going to be about this tree. We'll see. I want my trees to be happy, like Bob Ross trees. I don't know how happy this tree is. Okay. So anywhere where there's like these little spots and it's a little lighter, you just want to make sure that you get these kind of circular motions with your charcoal pencil. There's another technique you can do, and that is to use your kneaded eraser and erase out circles too. So let's just see. We're just going to see. I mean, you know, the only problem is this is charcoal, so it doesn't really like, but we come in and do like some circular. Yeah, that's all right. See? Experimentation. Oops. So I'm just making it into a point and then just coming around. Oops. It keeps smushing back down. So you just have to keep remolding your eraser. If you have this kind of eraser, if you don't, you can use like the eraser of your, you know, pencil. I'm not going to do it just because I don't really want to get the charcoal on it. So that's better if you have the pencil. But you can do the same technique with the number 2 pencil as well. All right. I'm feeling okay about the tree. And see, like, because I didn't move it around, there's a little bit there, but there's hardly any on that side. All right, so now we're going to add our brown. If you have like a colored pencil, then I would use that. Instead, for those of you who don't, we're going to be using our Sepia Dark, which is this. Nope, it's not that either. Sepia Light. This is the Sepia Dark. Hold on, let's see. So for the Sepia Dark, we're just gonna come in and put just some little tree trunks in the background like we did before. We're just adding some more in there, but now we're doing it with the brown. It just gives another layer of information. Trying not to touch my hand to my okay. Let's use our Sepia Medium, or I guess they've got it in here, Sepia Light. This is the one I want to use. So I'm going to come in here and shade in. You don't have to do this at all, actually, if you don't want. You do not, I mean, you can leave this and that be the end of it. We're going to add a little bit. Like to our little branches in here. Okay. A couple lines. Now, remember I was saving the sepia side? I'm going to go ahead and use that now to blend this. So I'm using the other side of my spreader, my sepia side. Trying to be careful though, because I don't want to pick up any of that black. That was like a really long pause. I made you wait to find out why. Why? Why doesn't she want to do that? Okay. All right, so we've got that. Let me see if there's any other places I missed. Maybe right there. Maybe right here. Maybe there. Okay. So that's the tree. Now we're going to use, if you've got the set, you can use your medium sepia pencil or your stick. And it's called Sepia Light, but it's the medium because the red chalk is the light. Let's see. I'm going to do a back and forth motion here. And so I'm just coming in here and getting some brown in there. And then for our fence post, we're going to have, it's just going to go straight up. Our fence post, now here's a linear perspective thing. So you've got 1 point perspective. The fence posts in the foreground are going to be taller and thicker than the ones in the back. They're also going to start getting closer and closer together, or look like they're getting closer and closer together. So we'll do one here. And by the way, your lines always go to that point. So if this is where the top of the fence post is, all of your fence posts need to follow that line. So I'm going to leave that on there. You know what? Let me use something that's actually going to, I'm going to use my mouse pad. Okay. All right, so we want everything to go along that line. That's key. And they're going to get closer together, and they're going to get smaller. But they're still following the top of that line. Oops. He's wanting to move. I'm going to get the pencil. It's not wanting to go to the top there. There we go. And eventually, it's going to get to the point where they're just blended together, like that. So you're not even going to see anything. Look at that. But because you have that line there, then it looks natural to the eye. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our charcoal. And we're going to come in on, let's see, do we want to blend these first? Let's blend these. Let's get our sepia stick and we'll blend these. And then your lines don't have to be, once they go in the background, they don't have to be so rigid as lines. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our charcoal on the left side, because remember our light source is coming from this side. And it comes across the top a little bit. All right, we're almost done, guys. By the way, if there are any questions, please let me know. I don't know how many of you are following along. I'm going to blend this. I'm going to use the black side to blend this. Okay. Now we're going to take our charcoal pencil and we're going to do our, wait, you know what? Hold on. Before we do this, because we don't want to blend on top of that, we need to blend this stuff together. I'm going to use my black side to blend this. So I'm going to blend the brown that I put in the in the road. All right, that should be good. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just look a little muddy. Okay, now remember our angle over here? That's our light source. So we want to have very similar angle of our shadow. Now they have little, these like little curved fence post, like wires or something that run between the post. Okay. So we'll get our shadow in here. Our shadow isn't going to be that much longer. This looks like it maybe is at night, or not at night, but like towards the end of the day, so the shadows are a little longer than the actual posts themselves. But they won't come all the way. All right, and then we need to do those little, like, copy these like little lines here. Need to be, they're going to go the opposite way. They are going to look like they're getting closer together as they go back in space. All right, we can blend these if we want, just so it has like a softer appearance. And you can have your shadow kind of go around the base of the post there. Oops, I guess that one didn't really get drawn on very well. Sometimes with charcoal, it'll get stuck on something. I don't know what just happened here. Charcoal will get stuck on something and like it won't draw for some reason in that particular place. And you just have to kind of be patient with it and not really force it, but just be patient with it and it will go on. Okay. All right. So there's that. I've got my tree. The only thing I'm missing is my grasses. So I'm going to use, I don't want to use the charcoal for this. I'm going to use the Silky Black 2. And I'm going to come and just do some little grasses, kind of maybe like around the fence post. And of course the grasses are going to get smaller as they go away. You can, we've got some grass down here. And I like to do a lot of little V's or check marks almost. And then you do some like lines by themselves. This gives like kind of a good grassy look. but there's going to be more grass here in the front, and it can just go directly off the page. Let's see. We'll need some grass over here. So kind of the same thing. Just do lots of like X's maybe coming off the page. Different sizes. Some are darker, some are lighter. This is really the last thing that we're going to do, I think. So maybe we'll create some grasses here in the background, kind of like I did there. Some little grasses here or there. Maybe some grasses right around that root that I was kind of messing around with. Around the tree. Excuse me. Don't worry, they didn't get me. It's just something stuck in my throat. Okay, and then we'll do a little bit of grass here, kind of going along the path, where like the path maybe has been traveled down, but the grass has grown up around it, you know, on both sides. All right, and I think we're done. So I'm going to sign. Like that. And then we're going to talk about, did anybody else follow along with me by any chance? And you know what? Hold on. I'm going to take my red and come in here. I just realized I really want my whole tree trunk to be colored. So we're going to go over and check Discord and just see if anybody has posted anything. And if anybody hasn't, that's okay. We can still look at Teacher Margot's work. The lilies that she did. Okay. I'm just blending this. Blending can sometimes, especially with chalk, give it like a choppy look too, which is cool. All right. First, real quick, I'll just talk about mine. So probably what I could do the most work on would be the trees. And I might even be able to come in here and like use one of my colors. I don't know why all my pencils are messed up here. I might be able to come in and like, you know, maybe just, even though the tree is maybe not supposed to be brown, just by bringing a little bit of color in here can just kind of create like some vibrant effect. So I'm just like coming in here and just putting some swirls. Like that. Yeah, that already adds quite a bit. Let's see. As far as, we do need to have a little bit of a base below our trees in the back. So I'm just going to take my spreader here and come in, and right at the very bottom of the trees I'm going to create that little base. It's just like a little shadow area of maybe bushes or something that's at the base of the trees. Okay. Couldn't see the top of my mountains. I think overall this is successful. I came over here and did this like little thing and didn't put color in it. Honestly, I don't know what feedback I can give for myself right now, because there's a lot of little things that I think need work. I would like to work on the trees in the background a little more, and maybe like, you know, take my eraser and come in and like create some dividing areas where like we have, you know, kind of groves of trees, you know, things like that. See, already just doing that made it look like there's stuff going on in the back. Like, you know, that maybe this is the edge of like an orchard or something like that. So there's a lot of little things I can do to improve this. I can keep working on this up here. Maybe give it some lighter areas, you know, so maybe come in here with my eraser. Just like I did with the mountain, you know, come in and you know, give it some highlights, especially on this side, because this is where our light is hitting it. So I'm not going to do this too much because, you know, we're at the end of the stream, but just to give you an idea of what I could be doing. And other than that, though, I think it's effective. So let's head on over to Discord, and we're going to see what, if anything. Ah, we do. Okay, so just to show you, just to go back, here's the original. And now we're going to go down. So we've got, so you can see the road here. And it looks like there's no grass in the middle, so maybe he decided to make that just a full road and not the grooves. He doesn't necessarily like big ruts. But as you can see, and then there's also like the mountains are a little bit more jagged, so it looks like maybe this is in like a farm in the mountains rather than in the hills. So these little choices make such a difference. There's a couple extra trees over here. I like this, but you've got the shadow in there. This is very effective. I like it. I would do something with the road, even if it's just slightly blended, just so it doesn't look like erased out, that it looks like there's some kind of texture there. Maybe grass along the side might work. A little bit of shadow that goes on either side that shows that maybe the road kind of dips up. So let's see. Let's look at this one. All right. So you've got a center to the road. The center's a little bit darker, so maybe it got erased out. It's a little bit darker than the surrounding areas. So how you could fix this is that I would just come in the surrounding areas and make that darker. So like on the sides, make that a little bit darker. I really like the mountains in the background. You got a really nice, where your front mountains and your back mountains are, you know, darker and lighter respectively, and so that's like a nice ambient effect. And I like your clouds too. You've got like the negative space there. Very good. Your shadow of the tree might be able to be a little bit bigger, and I would come in and blend the shadows, like the left side shadows of your tree, but that's very nice. And it looks like maybe you just didn't get a chance to finish, you know, or maybe you just want your tree to look particularly wintry. So either way, very good. You both get B positives. Here's my little B positive. All right, so thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them now. Otherwise, Friday, we are going to be doing a watercolor that it's a field of something, purple flower of some kind. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's a field of flowers. But this time we're going to be doing a 1-point perspective that goes off to the right. So like instead of it just being a point here, we're going to talk about what happens when it turns. So like rivers and things like that. And I've done this before, but I'm going to really discuss it this time. So join me on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. I will be doing watercolor. You can use watercolors like this. So this is like Crayola, I think is the brand. But these kind of watercolors, which you can get very inexpensively, they come with a brush. If you can get a little bit nicer brush that has a point, that's great. But the brush that it comes with is probably okay. You just don't get as much of a point. But you can definitely use those colors. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday. Thank you very much for joining the stream, and have a fantastic week.